Good Monday afternoon, everybody. My name is Eli Robinson. I am the Chief Trivia Officer here at Water Cooler Trivia, coming to you live to talk about this week's game, New Zealand N to Z, in honor of Waitangi Day. If you guys have not heard of Water Cooler Trivia, we are a weekly trivia game for groups, organizations, companies, friends, family, to play with one another, to enjoy camaraderie, competition, and hopefully learning a little something. You can find us online at watercoolertrivia.com. You can find me online at Chief Trivia Officer. We have a fun quiz every week, and then we come here and talk about it. So let's look at the results for this week's quiz. So an average of 7.53, which is a little bit lower than we normally would like. I like it to be kind of in the high sevens with a median of 8. One thing I will say though is I like how difficult it was for people to get a perfect score. So only 7% of people got a perfect score this week, and a vast majority are at 7s, 8s, and 9s. We like to see the majority around 8 and 9, so like I said, a little bit lower than normal, but maybe this week ended up being a little bit difficult. Here's how we introduced it. It's Waitangi Day, or at least it will be on February 6th. On February 6, 1840, the Treaty of Waitangi was signed between the British Crown and the Maori chiefs, and is recognized as the founding document of New Zealand. To bring the celebration all the way around the world, questions 1 through 10 plus the tiebreaker of this week's quiz are all about New Zealand. And here's a hint. Bold, capitalized. The first answer will begin with the letter N and then head alphabetically towards Z. Kia ora, which as far as we can tell is Maori for good luck or some version of that. So 3 questions I want to talk about today. So the first one was known for marketing employees like using coffin-shaped boxes. The largest fast food chain found in New Zealand is called Hell. They specialize in what kind of food whose invention is usually credited to Italian Raffaele Esposito? So the answer is pizza. It was a P, was the answer here. We would have thought that this one would have been kind of in the 80%, as you knew it was a P, you knew it was an Italian food, and you knew that they came in boxes. However, this was down towards the 60 or 70%, mostly because a lot of people guessed pasta, which is not that unreasonable. And I guess I didn't really think about how you would have another P, which could like really be a viable answer. So I guess just like learning for us, we wanted people to have access to this. I mean, Hell is like a really cool restaurant, and a fun link to it in the quiz if you've never heard of it before. Pasta, I don't think was technically invented, or like maybe pasta was invented in Italy. Like noodles were invented in China or like Eastern Asia. So I don't really know. It'd be interesting to see how you would think about pasta being invented. But just a little bit harder than we would have thought. And then one we knew was going to be hard, during World War II, New Zealander Charles Upham twice earned the highest military award available to the Commonwealth citizens, namely what Rico bling that's equivalent to the American Medal of Honor. You knew it was a V, so it was Victoria Cross. I have a picture of the Victoria Cross here. Obviously very hard. We knew it was going to be hard. It was going to start with a V. Lots of guesses with Victoria and Valor and things like that. Every once in a while we want to sneak in like, a know it or you don't kind of question. We thought by giving it as a V, people would have a fair shot at it. And then my favorite question this week was a multiple choice question. It says, although it only has an urban population of 16,000, what is the name of the South Island resort hamlet that acts as a launching point for much of New Zealand's famed adventure tourism? So the answer is Queenstown, but only 38% of people got that right. So here are the answers: Queenscliff, Queensferry, Queensland, Queenstown, and Queensville. It's just a great way to structure a question where it starts with Q, and to be honest, there's not that many like Q words that we can come up with like a good trivia question. So Queenscliff, Queensferry, and Queensville are very, very small places around the world. Queensland, which I think 50% of people guessed, is a big state in Australia where Brisbane and Cairns and Gold Coast are found. So Queensland is a thing that people know exists, and so I think that's why so many people ended up guessing it, even though the answer is Queenstown. As we've spoken about before, we try to use multiple choice around here selectively, in fun instances, and we found this one to be really, really great. Frankly, we could have just made it Queensland or Queenstown, and we probably could have done just as good of a job. But really, really enjoyed this question, and kudos to those who got it right. Once again, here are the results. Lots of clumping around 7, 8, and 9. That is New Zealand N to Z. I'm Eli Robinson, the Chief Trivia Officer of Water Cooler Trivia. Until next week, where we have a mystery game, keep on tripping on.